There. Perfect, perfect. Okay. Liam's here.
Would you be willing to do that so I don't have to walk through past the camera?
Okay, what would you like?
Let people in.
Oh, yeah, sure, of course.
Thanks.
Well, hello guys. How are you doing this month?
Listen, what's going on?
Not much, my friend. How are you doing? Can you hear me? I think it just froze there for a minute. Having trouble hearing you.
We have a new setup again.
Always refining it, right?
No, don't remove.
Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm not sure I know how to do that.
Well, if there's more than one, it'll say admit all.
Okay. Nice. Liam's here.
Hey,
Here.
Dustin's here. James is here. See if there's anybody else coming in.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can just leave that window open.
All right. Yeah. So what's going on? Here we are with Guitar Club, John and Julie's Guitar Club. April. Yay. So,
Next month.
I was thinking about, one of the things I was thinking about was that, like over the years, when Roger Brown was president, he would do like an
President of
April,
what?
president of Berkeley, would do a, like an April Fool's sort of gag every year. So, one year, I had him read a statement to, I was hosting a guitar night, concert at Berkeley Performance Center. And, one of the things that we did, I had him read a statement where he was announcing to all the students at Berkeley that, that the Berkeley and Tufts Medical School was gonna be collaborating on an implant that improves your ability to, that basically implants perfect pitch into your brain. So, so he read the statement where everybody was supposed to show up and get fitted for these surgical implants and then schedule the surgery. And he actually read the whole statement exactly as I laid it out. I didn't think he would, but he did, because obviously the last line was, "Oh, by the way, April Fools."
Okay.
Then the following year he did one. The following year he did one where he he was introducing kazoo as a major, and he had all these people playing kazoos. It's like filmed a video of it. Another year he was instituting a new policy where the school was going to eliminate B flat as a pitch. So.
Sounds like a dream come true.
Yeah.
Although I do like a good B flat chord.
Yeah.
It's really cool. You know that song, Summer of '69?
Yeah.
So the chorus goes into the rhythm.
Yeah, you're totally right. That's
G, and then all of a sudden we go to F.
yeah. I don't know about anybody else, but like I love that too. That tune is such a guilty pleasure.
Really?
Yeah, for
I
me.
really loved it.
Oh my God, it's one of my favorites by him.
I like that one, what's the one with the cool chords? It's got a cool riff. Run to You.
Run to You, yeah.
I love Run to You.
Yeah, Run to You and Summer of '69. Although I heard a rumor, I don't know if it's true, but one of the things I thought I heard him say that Summer of '69 wasn't about the year.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly what that means.
Came out in the
Yeah.
80s.
Yeah.
Hey, I have one suggestion.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you two get your mics closer to you?
Yes. So everybody, this is Jeff. Jeff is sitting in my office downstairs. Jeff is actually managing the sound for us because we're trying to up our production game. So, yeah, Jeff.
John's computer's never gonna put this down.
How's that? Is that better?
Definitely better.
Okay,
Okay. That's good. Makes sense.
okay.
Do you have that musicians, like the sound for musicians? Because I lost all the sound until you guys started talking again after when you were playing.
Okay, yeah. Hold on, how's this?
Well, we're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
going through the Zoom audio engine. We're actually using our computer audio, which is downstairs, right?
Yeah, but it's fed back up to here.
Okay.
So
So
he's
it's
right.
coming
Yeah.
through the speakers. They're hearing through the speakers, so we need the original sound.
Yeah, I just turned it on. So let me see,
I could hear you guys at first, but it was breaking up, and then I totally lost it
okay.
until you started talking again.
Okay, what's a
Yeah, no,
good,
I'm not hearing any of that.
Oh, you don't hear them.
yeah. What's a good,
Actually, I should be able to hear it on the TV speakers, aren't I?
actually, I'm just gonna do a quick little test. What's a good,
Oh, April's here. Hi, April.
April?
April joined us one time.
Oh, is she is she on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let me see, how about, Okay.
Do you guys wanna see if, we can hear you one at a time? That might help.
Check, check. Can you hear me?
Yep,
Yes.
I can. Can you hear Dustin? Jeff?
I did just then, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And Liam?
Okay.
Hello.
I'm gonna try something.
Check.
Hold on,
Can
we're
you hear me?
checking everybody's
Go ahead.
mics, so
Check.
we can hear them. Okay, Liam?
Check. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool.
James?
Check.
Cool.
Good.
I think we're doing pretty good. Okay, so let's try this backing track. You can hear that clearly? All right. So the chord never changes.
It's a little
D9.
quiet.
Yeah. Let's see if it can.
Is it a little quiet?
Quiet. Is the track quiet? How's that?
Can you hear voices, guitars, tracks? All right, cool.
Yeah, so that actually kind of raises an interesting question. So that track, in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in the chat for everybody.
While John's finding the track, let us know what you guys have been up to this week. No one?
What was that?
You have to open the chat, John.
Yeah. Hold on.
I was just saying, maybe while John's looking for this backing track to share, you guys could tell us what you've been up to, or if you have something fun coming in.
Okay, yeah, there's the chat.
I saw John Baptiste on Saturday.
Oh, wow.
He's amazing.
The chat for YouTube, John. Okay. Yes, I am a big fan of John Baptiste.
Yeah, it was just him, like solo piano and vocal, and he's just ridiculous.
Oh, there. Okay, yeah, cool. All right, so I just put the D9 track in, and one of the reasons why I put this together was because, you know, I spend a fair amount of time, you know, writing and practicing, you know, working on complex chord changes and blah 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 blah. But then, you know, when I'm playing rock gigs or pop gigs, there's a lot of tunes where you just kind of soloing over one chord, and one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot lately is what can you do over one chord to keep that one chord thing interesting?
Rather than just playing the same
Yeah.
thing over and over and over.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like, you know, because when I first started working on it, one thing I found was that I would just start to run out of my vocabulary of licks like pretty quickly, and now I'm just repeating myself. So then the question is, now what?
There's like a feedback, a low end feedback coming when you speak.
When I speak,
It's like a ringing sound.
yeah, I hear it.
Should I turn the mains down?
Let me deal with it here,
Okay.
Yeah,
because you had good levels in the playback track, right?
yeah,
Yeah, the
So let me
playback
just try
felt
and get
good.
the voices down.
yeah,
So sorry, this is live stream at its best.
yeah. So
Figuring out the glitches.
yeah, we're just
in
trying.
real time.
Yeah, we're still trying to figure out like the right way to, you know, to stream it so that it looks good, it sounds good, it's good for us, it's good for you, good for everybody.
You're right.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt,
No,
but I
that's
didn't
fine.
want that to get out of hand.
yeah. Well, anyway, so there's just something I was thinking about. So I
instead of playing all your licks at once,
Yeah.
you do one every so often.
well, there's a few ways you could deal with something like this, or at least one of the things I think about. One is the target note approach, which is to pick a series of target notes and you just sort of work on connecting from one to the next. Like, so for example, if I pick these, right, as my target note, C, then D, then E, then F sharp. What I can do is start by centering around C on my phrases, right, and then move to D, then move to E, then F sharp.
That way you can do your licks across the key
Yeah.
and adapt them for that specific note.
Yeah, well, I mean, it just, for me, what I like about it is it kind of gives me a place to go instead of just asking myself, okay, well, what's cool to play next? You know? So, do you want to try it?
Yeah,
I'm gonna put,
but we were finding out what people were doing this
Okay,
week,
all right.
what they have coming up.
all right, let's do that first.
James, did you have a good gig? Now I have some feedback. Should I get further away from the mic?
Maybe, yeah.
No, stay where you are, I'll deal with it here.
Yeah, it's singing.
Yeah, there's just a little bit of a ring.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, everything's good. I saw the I guess the draft of the compilation video solos
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we
that you
got
sent out. Yeah, I thought that was great.
Yeah, cool.
Is the final one was that posted anywhere or not yet?
So, did you get to, you know what? I don't have your email. I sent out, I sent out the final version actually. So the one that you looked at, were you in it?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think I wrote back everything lined up and sounded good.
Okay,
You
right.
have his
Yeah, I did I did the final draft today because there was one or two of them where the audio was kind of out of sync with the video, and I spent some time today fixing that. So I sent it out to everybody that was involved. Liam, I think I sent you one. Julie, I sent
I
you
got
one.
one.
Yeah.
You're gonna post it?
Yeah, I'm gonna post it, but I just want to, so James, I just need your email
Well,
address.
you must have his email if he got it. He just didn't get the
No,
one
he didn't,
today.
he didn't get the one that I sent today.
Right, but he got a previous version.
Yeah.
So you must have his email. address.
I probably do, but I don't know
Okay,
where
I'll
it
give
is.
it to you.
Yeah, okay, great.
All right, we got it.
Awesome. Yeah, I thought it was really cool, and thanks again for putting that together. It was
Yeah, you did a great job.
really cool.
Yeah,
I can't wait
Thank
to
you.
hear that.
Yeah,
Yeah, you did
that-
a great job.
thank you. That was really fun. The biggest thing for that, when I was using a program called iMovie, which if you're familiar with iMovie, it's really great because it's pretty easy to use until you start doing things that are slightly more sophisticated. Like, as you know, the way we did it was, you recorded your version and then sent me a video of you playing plus just the solo stem of you playing just the solo, right? So, which meant that, that I had to kind of bring everything into the program and line everything up. And, it was funny because the program Premiere Pro really likes that, but iMovie really doesn't.
It's really difficult.
Yeah,
I was doing my YouTube videos in iMovie for a while, but
Yeah.
then I got Premiere Pro.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love Premiere Pro.
Yeah, we've been working with Premiere Pro now for a couple of years.
But I don't think I used maybe 1/10 of its capability. It's just so deep. I think people probably make movies with
I'm
Premiere
pretty
Pro,
sure that
right?
they do, yeah, but that, you know,
Yeah, we're getting better though.
yeah,
We up our game all the time.
yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the things, that's one of the things we're working on here.
Yeah, Dustin.
Hey guys. So actually, the only thing that I had been working on this month was a submission for that video, and I owe you an apology for being so late on it and not getting it back to you in time. But I thought it might bring up a really cool question for discussion today. I have never encountered something like this before, but approaching that and trying over and over again to compose over it or improvise over it, I came up with like my first case of guitar writer's block, if that makes any sense.
Really?
Yeah, it's like I could not come up with something that worked well enough for me, and found that I was just running scales up and down as opposed to playing music, if that makes any sense. And so I thought I'd pose the question to you, John. Have you ever encountered something like that? And if so, like, how do you approach something like that?
Okay, so I'm going to answer. My answer to you is yes. It happens to me all the time.
Okay.
And what I can tell you is because it happens to me all the time, I've got a lot of potential solutions for for dealing with it. Okay.
Okay.
So what and I think a lot of it is just whatever you can do to get out of your own head. Like just move away from the whole idea of like self-judging, and
If it's possible, I have a hard time with that.
yeah, me too. But I mean, I think a lot of it is just finding ways to have fun with it.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is just kind of try everything. And another suggestion is as you're recording, or as you're working on it, record everything you do, even if you don't think you're going to use it.
Mm-hmm.
And just because the thing you want to do is you want to get used to the notion that the record everything you're doing is being recorded. So
Sometimes the red light comes on and we freeze.
Red light fever. Yep.
yeah, exactly. And that was one of the things I ran into was that the red light would come on, and in my head would be saying, "Okay, play good now, play good."
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing great. I still
Yeah.
always say that.
And I get three notes in, and then
Yep.
then the inner dumbass comes out. Another suggestion is if you're having trouble coming up with ideas, try singing and playing simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
Just because what that does is that gets you away. One of the things I run into sometimes is that at my worst, then my fingers are sort of in charge, and I'm just kind of playing whatever happens to conveniently fall onto my fingers.
Mm-hmm.
And
Default.
exactly, the default licks, things like that. So that's something else. That's one thing that singing while you're playing really kind of pulls you away from. Another thing you can do that might help is to artificially do your best to enforce a set of temporary rules upon yourself while you practice improvising on it. For example, don't play on beat one while you're phrasing. Right? And it's not that there's anything wrong with beat one. It's just the idea that like your conscious brain will be occupied with don't play on beat one, and what that's going to do is it's going to pull you away from spending too much time and energy judging yourself.
But then
Sure.
throughout the whole solo, you're composing with that little motif in mind.
Yeah.
So one, a little phrase, and then the next one, a little phrase, and then as you're moving across the chords, there's this theme that emerges through the whole thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or two strings, you like to do that.
Or two strings, or decide to not use a particular string for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Giving yourself restrictions, it forces you to be creative in ways you may not have thought of.
Yeah.
Like that.
What I like a lot is if I'm playing in D, don't play D.
Oh, yeah. John's always like, don't ever play C on a C major 7.
Yeah.
It's too sweet.
Yeah.
Give you a cavity.
It's like, but yeah, playing C over C major 7 chord is like biting down on a giant lump of sugar.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, a little too much.
For that solo, I like to, because it has these different sections, you know, it's got the C sharp minor to the,
Mhm.
Which
the
one
first-
are you talking? Oh, the
Two
two monkeys?
monkeys.
Okay. Yeah, C sharp minor to E.
So maybe just loop C sharp minor and E, and then you find something that you like over it, right?
Yeah.
And then the next part is
D,
D.
A, E.
You know, and then D, A,
D, A,
B.
B.
So if you could think of it as these 3 specific chunks. And then also when I'm composing a solo, I like to just loop it. How long did it take me for Shimmer and Glow?
I think
75.
you did 75 takes.
I did 75 takes.
Yeah.
Guess who did 1?
Uh,
But I just play over it, and then something at the beginning starts to settle in, and I'm like, okay, I like that for the beginning, and then it comes around again, I got that part down, and then the new part comes, okay, I like this too, you know.
yeah, but keep in.
I struggle.
Yeah,
I
of course.
just keep playing it because
So-
I'm stubborn.
So what I was going to say too is that when part of why I only needed 1 take was because I had been listening to you kind of play it for a while, and I
4
was
years.
thinking about as I was listening to you play, I was thinking, I was using it as sort of a way to think about, oh, I could do this, oh, I could do that, I could do that. So by the time I finally sat down and played, you know, I was kind of practicing, but without the guitar.
Okay, that's very
Yeah.
huge too.
Yeah.
Do you know about this study where they took 3 groups of basketball players and they did a free throw test, right? So the first group, they practiced just free throws, like for 2 hours, right? And then they did the actual thing where they measured how many they got in. Then the next group visualized their free throws for 2 hours, and then did the free throws. And then the other group just messed around and played video games or whatever, and then did the free throws. And the amazing thing was, they knew that, of course, the people actually doing the free throws were probably going to do a little better, but it was just a tiny bit better than the people who were visualizing and doing them in their mind. So that's a great thing, to see it in your mind, and
Yeah.
then approach the guitar.
Yeah, that's right. There's definitely something to be said for that.
Do you guys have any other suggestions? What about Liam and James? You're both fresh from doing this solo.
I kind of understand what Dustin was saying, because I did a whole different solo originally, like maybe a few months ago, that was very analytical and way too complex, and then I scrapped the whole thing and then just started clean slate and just went to, like, made it more basic. I think I kind of went too far, and it sounded more like what I think maybe what Dustin was saying. It sounded like I was just, playing over the changes, not through them. It wasn't as seamless. It just sounded like it was, you know, too much. So I kind of simplified it a bit, and I like what I came up with a lot better than the original that I had.
Right on.
Which raises an interesting question. How do you know when you're done? Like Julie, when you were doing the solo for Shimmer and Glow, how did you know? Like I remember it. Like I was sitting there. I was just sort of tracking things for you and just listening to you play take after take after take. And then what really kind of jumped out, and by the way, every take that she did was amazing, right? Just so you know.
That's probably
But she got to a point where she just kind of went, "Yep, that's it."
I just knew it because I figured it out, and once I figured out what I wanted to play, then it was just the fact of playing it smoothly and executing it in a way that felt full of emotion or whatever. And I just kept doing, and then I knew that was the one, and then I think I was like, well, let's try one more. And I did the one more, and I'm like, no, it's that other one,
Right.
you know?
Right. But so the question is, so how did you know that was the one?
because it felt like the right one.
Okay, so you don't, so,
It said, I'm the one.
okay. Love that.
I don't know.
Okay, so Dustin, how do you know if you got it done?
I honestly don't know the answer to that question because I think Julie's probably got the best answer there. You just feel comfortable with what you've done, or you feel like you've arrived at a place. But I'm also a big believer, like it never stops changing. So like you get to a place where you're satisfied with the recording, and then you're going to take it out on stage. I'm a big Richie Blackmore fan. He never played the solo the same time ever twice, so the song keeps evolving. Or you look at someone like The Edge, I'm a big fan of too. They change up the arrangements over the years, and sometimes maybe 10, 15 years down the line, you find a guitar part in a song that you didn't find when the record came out, sort of a thing.
Right.
So I think the way I look at it is more that you get to a place where you're comfortable with the recording, where you're happy with the recording, but that's not where the evolution of the song stops.
Right.
You play it, if you're going to take it on tour, you're going to play it 100,000 more times, and it's going to grow over that period.
Yeah, there's an old saying, I think it was Walt Whitman, that said that you never finish a work of art, you just let go of it. And I think that's right on. Leah, what about you? Like like, how do you know, like when you're tracking a solo, anything, or this one if you want to talk about the Two Monkeys one if you want to talk about that, or any of your work, how do you know that you've got the solo you want?
Well, sometimes it's the deadline.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I don't have any more time. Yeah, well, I told you with this one, I was like, so some of the things I did is I was struggling over the first part because there's like, it's so long on each chord.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what you were doing just now. It's like, okay, what am I going to do over this thing? So I'm trying to find these little melodic hooks or something. And those were, some were hit and miss. But so then I tried I was like, well, let me try different scales or modes or whatever. I'll be like, okay, I'm doing this, so let me try something else and see what sounds good. And that helped a little bit, but then like you said with the like don't play on the one, I didn't necessarily do that, but I kept starting the same way, so I just kept ending up in the same rut. I'm like,
Right.
I gotta get this stupid like thing out of my head. So I'd start in a different place and try to, so it'd give me a different kind of like rhythmic thing. So I guess that's one of the other things I would say is maybe come up with a rhythm in your head, like even just listen to it and no note values really, but just like whatever, some kind of rhythm that's kind of cool with it, and
Right.
then just assign notes to it, or even just assign one note to it and play the rhythm, and then mess around with it from there and create something.
That's really
But yeah, it was really that first part. I was like, why is this like not happening for me right now? It was crazy. But then the second half, it's like, well, plus there's more rhythm. Like it kicks in, the drums are like kicking a little more, and I could kind of groove with it a little more. But the beginning, it's just kind of like nothing's happening,
Right.
and I am in the spotlight, and I don't know what to do right now. So, but it eventually. A lot of it was the deadline too. It was like I was just like, all right, this is it. So.
Yeah,
We should do another one maybe.
yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we definitely should. What should we do it on?
Well, maybe not a song, but maybe we could
We
write
just like
something.
write a chord progression of some
Yeah.
kind? Cool.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, of course, yeah. It'd be like, we
This will
should
be the
definitely
Guitar Club album.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be fun?
So Dustin, I was gonna tell you a quick little, when you were asking about, like, what do you do when you don't have any ideas? I was reminded of a conversation I had with John Petrucci many years ago. So he and I were walking around at a NAMM show together. This is the late 1990s, and we're just kind of talking about things. And at the time, I was going through like this awful creative, like I was in like a
Slump.
creative desert, basically.
Oh.
Wasn't coming up with anything. So, you know, so along the way, I just kind of turned to him and said, "Hey, John, do you ever have times where you have trouble coming up with new ideas?" And he looks away and then he looks back at me and he goes, "No."
Well, that's because he's continually working on making ideas. Like, you need to set aside time to make ideas. You need to make that a priority.
So
Right?
yeah, and you know when I pressed him on you know, really what he was saying was, of course it's hard to come up with new ideas. Of course it's hard, you know, and I'm not saying that you know that I'm a god. It's, you know, what he was saying was that he doesn't allow the idea that there are no more ideas to enter into his head. You know, to
I love
fit by
that.
yeah.
I
But
love
yeah,
that.
by his mindset is there's always another idea. There's always another idea, and all I have to do is just look for it or work for it or however I can get it.
We do have to work for it.
Yes.
We were at a songwriting workshop last weekend. Did we tell you we were doing that at
Oh my
Cape
God.
May? I mean,
Yeah.
Cape May is a dream. But we saw this wonderful woman, her name's Kay Pear. She was talking about, you know, cultivating your creativity and making sure you have a creative, flourishing life, especially if you're an artist. But she was saying, if you look at the agricultural model, you know, you have to go through these cycles. You have to prepare the soil. You have to plant the seed. You have to water. You have to let it grow, right? Then you harvest. And then after you harvest, you have to let the ground sit. So you have to rest. You have to restore. You have to fill your cup. You have to water your creativity.
Yeah.
So we love that.
Yeah, oh, I
She was
loved it because,
amazing.
because what she was saying was that, like, if you're in the agricultural model, you know, like you seed in the spring and you harvest in the fall.
There are
And you do
seasons.
this in the summer, and you do the, so like you have different activities that happen during the course of the year. And what she was suggesting is a possible model for creative pursuits that are sort of, that are sort of in that, you know.
And it's not like, oh, I will release one creative work a year. You know, it's not that. But you have to look at, you have to water your soil, right? You can't just not play or practice and then say, okay, it's time to create. I mean, you can do that, but if you're constantly doing things in the cycle, you know, filling your cup, being inspired, finding inspiration everywhere, right? Then when you pick up your instrument, you're ready to go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's cool. It was neat. All right, so do you want to talk about a backing track? I took you off your D9.
Oh,
but
no,
that's
it's
a cool-
fine.
That's a cool track.
Yeah.
So let's talk
Yeah.
about that. What would we do over D9? We sent it over to everybody. So give us the options. What's the rundown
Okay,
of D9?
so here's a couple of options. One one option is to just sort of give yourself a group of target notes to focus on. So like if you do the model that I did where you're playing C, then D, then E, then F sharp, what you do is you just kind of center all your phrases around the note C for a little while to see how many of those you can come up with. And when you exhaust them, then you move on to D and do the same thing. Then do the same thing with E, then do the same thing with F sharp. And the basic idea is that it's going to take you a while to sort of exhaust all the ideas into each thing, instead of, so it kind of gives your brain something to do while you're figuring out what to play.
Because otherwise you have too many options. It's
Right.
like going on Amazon and looking for a flower vase.
Yeah, oh my God.
Pages and pages, and you're not gonna pick one, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So let's
The tyranny
play
of
the
choice.
C over the D9.
So,
See how that's the center of all the phrases, right?
yeah.
Now with
Sorry.
that works over D9.
Right.
attempt with the D9 funky. Or
Well-
even just pick one note and have that be, right?
Well, what happens if you try it?
Right?
Yeah, now go on and move on to E, D, rather. Yeah, what do you think? So you see how that kind of changes, what you can focus
Yeah,
on.
I
Anybody
like
want? Go ahead.
Because otherwise I would want to throw all my licks in.
Right.
All my Guitar Center licks.
Anybody want to try it?
Who wants to try it? Or you and I could jam on it for a little bit?
Okay. All right.
Maybe we could,
Well, actually, so okay. So before we do, so one scenario is go from C to D to E to F sharp, or you can kind of pick your own group of target
F
notes if
sharp,
you want.
E, D, C.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah. Another thing is don't play on beat 1. Another possibility is don't use the B string, right? Another idea is don't play D or don't play D at all, right?
That seems hard.
And there's another one. This is a great one to practice as a memory exercise for improvisation. And what it is the game of Simon. You remember Simon? Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
Right? So you play Simon, right. So you play Simon with the guitar. So,
Cool.
right? And you keep going as long as you can until you start losing track of it. So anything like that that's
I wonder what the world record is.
oh boy.
I should look it up. What's the world record of Simon?
For Simon? Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like everyone I've ever played with, we don't get past 8.
Right.
8 or 9 maybe.
I don't remember how far I went.
The world record's probably Guthrie Govan.
What is it?
Guthrie Govan.
Oh, right.
Oh,
He's got to 157. I'm gonna look at it. All right, so you want to start it?
so does anybody want to give it a try? Okay, Liam's gonna go.
I'll give it a shot.
All right. So first of all, before you go, 84 is the
record.
Surprised you could even look that up.
Caesarea, Canada. The person is Milton Bradley is the game.
Okay, so Liam, what approach are you gonna do? So tell us what you're gonna do before you do it.
I guess I'll do what you were doing. So I'll do E, F sharp, and then A. I don't know.
E, F sharp. Okay. All right, and you have the track.
Yeah, so can you hear me? Maybe louder.
Yeah.
Let's see what the track sounds like. Wow, that's loud. Hold on.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Definitely.
Bravo.
So, yeah. So how was it to approach it that way? Did you find, like, my impression was that what your playing became really kind of stream of consciousness. That was kind of how it hit me. You know?
Yeah, I don't. Well, it. I don't know. It was hard to kind of stick with it totally. I felt like because it didn't resolve very well every time. So like when I'm landing on it, I felt like, all right, I got to go like either to the D or to an F sharp or something. Like when I was trying to land on E, it's so it kind of got me in that target zone, but then I'd usually resolve somewhere else off of it, kind of.
Know
So
that about yourself, what your tendencies are.
Yes.
yeah,
You know, and that's a good reason to practice doing it that way, not because you want to improvise that way all the time. I'm not suggesting that this is the correct way to improvise. What I'm saying is things like this kind of get you away from,
What you normally do.
you know, like sort of
Yeah.
landing on your default, you know, and get you to do some, you know, I say this to my students all the time. What I seek is what I would call ear to hand coordination, which means that I'm playing what I'm really hearing in my head, not what my fingers want to default to.
Ah.
You know, which is really hard to do to stay true to that.
yeah, yeah. I just that band Marbin. Have you heard of them?
No, I've heard about them, but I don't know anything about them.
Yeah, so I just saw a video with a guy. It was a really good video. He was talking about that exact same thing where you know where the note is like in your head and
Right.
connecting it to the guitar. But he was explaining it in a way like where it hits. He's like, "Okay, when I sing that, it's like here, and then it's here, and then it like." But he's like, "You got to sing the right octave. Like, don't play, this note and sing that note, an octave lower or something like that." But it was really interesting how he connected it all together, and he's like, "That's, another good way of to be, to George Benson it."
Yeah,
So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, James, you want to give it a shot?
Sure. Let me see if
So what script are you going to try to follow? And it doesn't have to be the target notes. You can either choose to not play, like pick a beat and not play. You can choose to not play a certain note within the scale. You know.
I think I might try the target note approach, but I've been thinking of like a rhythmic thing to motif to kind of keep going back to.
Yes.
So I'm going to try maybe something like that.
Yeah.
I just want to see if my balance is okay here.
Good.
Does that sound okay? That seem good?
I
Yeah.
like it. Yep.
Okay, let me start from there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I like the rhythm.
yeah, I was thinking, I was thinking that that was really different than what Liam was doing, but also equally cool. You know, and there's so much you could do with that. Like pick a rhythmic motif and see how much you can get out of that. That's
And
amazing.
and probably if we didn't have this discussion before that, I probably would have done something totally different and wouldn't have like I feel like out of that what we were saying before about like a creative block or something, I feel like if I just recorded myself doing that for a while, I could find little nuggets that I really liked and link it together to make a more formal, kind of solo composition or something.
Yeah, and that's exactly the point of doing something like this. It's not that the solo should follow some rule. The point of it is to get you to do something you wouldn't ordinarily do.
Yeah.
So that would get you to, oh, I know what to do, and then that's, I don't know if you've ever experienced that. That happens to me once in a while. And Julie has heard me say that. Like, oh, I know what to do.
I know
and
what
then,
to do now.
Yeah, and then
After the moment's over, we played it already.
yeah, exactly.
The next time we play it, I'll get it.
Dustin, what's your rule going to be?
You're gonna try it?
My rule's going to be the not playing on the first beat rule.
Okay.
But I've got to get it up and once again get my balance here as well. So, and I am a little bit more out of practice than I usually am. So, hopefully, I can pull this off. All right.
We know you can.
Yeah, once in a while. Is that too loud?
Yeah, don't ever play.
Way too loud?
Good, not too loud, but we need to
Yeah.
hear the track. We can't hear it.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. Yeah.
Took me a little while to kind of get into the rhythm there, and I don't think that I completely held to that. Don't play on beat one, but I like what James did in terms of trying to find a rhythmic motif. So I was kind of trying to find that.
Yeah. Yeah. Jeff, are you sending the audio over to us?
Yeah, hang on a second. I switched something. Let me put it back.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right. So here's something else you could think about. And this is something that I've been kind of playing around with, so if I start with a D Mixolydian scale, okay, so let's call this 1 and this A. And what I want to do is I want to take 2 of the degrees of the scale and play them in the opposite, like trade places with them. So you know, for example, you know, instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? What I'm going to do is go 1, 3, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? And then
That's
maybe, and then coming downwards, I'm going to go 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 2, 3, 1. And what's kind of cool about that is it's just a very simple way to create phrases that you might not have thought about. Right?
I see.
So, okay, so give me two numbers between 1 and 8, including 1 and 8.
6 and 8.
6 and 8. Okay, so it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 6, 7. Okay, now coming backwards, give me two numbers.
3 and 5.
3 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 1, 8, 7, 6,
3,
3,
5.
5, 4. Right? So right there, that's kind of interesting. Right? So I find things like that are really pretty good seeds to you know to use.
Love it.
Yeah,
We're always trying to get better.
yeah. Okay, so what? Oh, okay, so do we want to stick with that scale or do we want to use a different scale? James, give me two numbers.
2 and 6.
2 and 6. Okay, so play a demixolydian scale, and then just play 6 instead of 2 and 2 instead of 6.
So that, yeah, I was trying to figure out what you were doing before. So you're basically, is
So
it?
instead of so I'm just replacing the digits in the order. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it would be 1, 2, 6. What did you say? 2 and 6?
2 and 6, yeah.
2 and 6. So it would be 1, 3, 6, 3.
Wait,
So 1,
okay.
1, 6, 3, 4, 5, 2,
Oh,
7, 1.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Right? So it really, you know, because it's all by the numbers, there's going to be a certain randomness to it, you know, but it really kind of stretches you, it really stretches you to think about, like, what possibility might that be? If you do that enough times, you will definitely come across some things that are interesting. And,
Yeah, even that first melodic jump of the sixth, I probably wouldn't have thought to, start a line just doing that, but that's really cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go. 1, 3. Ooh.
oh wait. You have to think through it a bit.
Hmm?
You have to think through it a little bit. Work
Yeah.
it out slow, just like everything. right?
Yeah, and as you know, and when I work on things like that, one of the most important questions to ask along the way is, do I like this? You know, because as I work them out, there's, you know, the thing that's going to be obvious is that you're going to get a lot of results from working that way, because it's so numeric and so random that it becomes almost like 1,000 monkeys in a 1,000 typewriters, right? But
That's
you
how
also
John Cage wrote. He threw the dice,
really,
the
Is it-
teaching,
I don't know.
where you just compose
Yeah, there was like that
Took a dive.
12 tone row. They would do that thing where they have all chromatic tones and you can't play another one till you
Yes.
play them all.
Sure.
Yeah, that was
And
like,
then you
yeah.
do 12 in a different order. It's more
But I
than
know what you mean about they would toss dice
Mhm.
and what would come up would be
That'd be the next
like
note.
intervals or scale degrees. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So would somebody be keeping track of how many notes get used? I suppose
Well,
you'd have to, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you'd have to.
You know, because
Because you don't want to do it the same way each time.
right.
It's crazy.
Yeah, stuff like that. Stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess then you could like invert it or you could like play it backwards or, yeah.
There's all those different options.
Doing something with
So great. I think
with like a E minor scale where I was doing like the octave displacement thing where like like just doing something where yeah, I was like playing this the E, then the F sharp was down an octave, and then the G, then A, B, C, and then D, E, like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just to like mix up and then all of a sudden it's when you map it out and you figure out the thing, but if someone hears that, it sounds like this really wild like lick. So
But then you could work it up and use it in different ways in the same way in one piece.
right, yeah.
It's the million
Yeah.
theme.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that you can manage that. And again, I think for me the most important thing is to use it as a tool to kind of get away from just doing what my fingers like are just going to default land on without me thinking too much about it.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
when I've been playing this many years, I don't want to get stuck in a rut.
Yeah. We're looking at when's the next one?
The next date looks like Cinco de Mayo. Is that all right for everybody?
Cinco de Mayo.
Should we bring chips and queso?
Yeah, we'll bring chips and queso. And I'm trying to think. So maybe by then we will have. Should we say we'll have a chord progression by then?
Yeah, let's
Or-
have a cool jam track.
Yeah, or if anybody else wants to put one together that we all play on, that would be fine too. Just just go ahead and let us know you're going to do it, and then we'll leave it to you. Otherwise, we'll work on
Well,
one.
let's work on the next one so we have it for next month. And then if anybody's willing to do one for the future.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks so much for joining us, you guys. We love our guitar club.
Yes.
And thank you, Jeff, for all your expertise.
Yes.
in
Jeff.
the
Yeah.
office.
Yeah. Jeff definitely Jeff makes our life better.
He does.
So.
He runs sound for us for our gigs as well. We trust him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing.
That was their first mistake.
What, trusting you or?
He
Oh,
brought
the
us
above.
coffee cake though.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I want coffee cake.
There's some.
Okay.
Thank you, Beth, for making us coffee cake. And it was warm when he
She
brought
thought
it.
you'd like that.
Yeah. Well, that's
I'm a
amazing.
fan. All right.
And John, I sent you my email.
Oh,
I just
right.
emailed you. So
Yeah, you know what? I probably have it on my laptop. I was I was emailing the link out from a different computer. So that could be why your email address didn't pop up. I typed in and I was looking for it, and I was looking at your website. I noticed your website doesn't have your email address.
good I should check that out. Yeah.
But the site looks great, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Pictures on there are really great. You got lots of samples. It's
Cool.
James Erickson Guitar or something. What is it?
EricksonGuitar.net.
EricksonGuitar.net. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great looking site.
Oh, thank you. But the email would be. I have a thing where people can send like a submission form, like they just write me a message through there. But yeah, I should have the actual email. Is a good idea.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, so I'll send everybody out the final version of it. Dustin, if you want to give us something over the next couple of days, I can tack it on. you know,
I appreciate that, especially with how late I am on to the party on this one. But if I can come up with something, I'll get it to you in the next couple of days. Absolutely.
I mean, yeah,
Thank you,
that would be
John.
great.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Otherwise, we'll just go ahead and put it up. No pressure, though.
Yeah, no pressure.
No, no pressure at all. Hey, like Liam was saying, sometimes the deadline helps. So
Yes. Okay. All right then. 48 hours, 2 days. Go. All right.
All right, see y'all.
Thanks, you guys.
All right. Good night.
Good night.